my God. An hour and 49 minutes. Oh my God. This has 1.2 million views in one day. God damn it, dude. I'm pretty sure they banged. Really? Okay, first of all, it's messed up. Okay, that's messed up. Keep your fantasies to yourself. Okay? Candace Owens is now officially celibate. Okay? Since the untimely demise of... She's given herself to God. Hunter Biden and Candace Owens, if anything ever happened to me, I want you. What? Oh my God.
Welcome to the Candace Owens Show.
It's wonderful.
People are just gonna be like, how on earth did this happen?
I know.
I gotta give another backstory. So I went to dinner with a fellow podcaster and we were just talking about interviews. We don't do too many interviews on the show. And he first asked me what was the best interview I ever did. And I said, without question, the USS Liberty Survivor field attorney. And then he said, what would be your top interview that you want to do? And I said, oh gosh, we're in such a different time now. Like, I'm just not interested in politics. Like, it would have to be something so different. And then I said, actually, Hunter Biden. And I said to him, I watched your sit down with Andrew Callahan.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the most refreshing interview that I had seen in politics in a very long time, because we're so used to being gaslit about various things happening. Everyone's trying to hide stuff. And we read a lot about you. I guess we didn't really hear anything from you. So this.
I mean, the thing is, like, a lot of people forget that there was an often forgotten side quest that Candace Owens went on. I don't know if you guys remember this. She tried to rehabilitate the image of Harvey Weinstein.
This was kind of the first time.
So if she's doing that, then Hunter Biden is not that crazy, right? Yeah, she tried to rehabilitate Harvey Weinstein, tried to make it seem like Harvey Weinstein was a victim of woke. And I never fully understood why she did that, because, like, Harvey Weinstein is also Jewish too, and she's, like, very clearly anti-Semitic. So I was wondering, I always wondered, like, what the purpose for that was. Maybe she got paid to do it. I don't know. Some speculation was that she was trying to get Harvey Weinstein to talk about, like, international Jewry or something, maybe.
I heard you in your own words, just totally owning your addiction issues, also going after Jake Tapper and George Clooney. And when we were kind of expecting the typical Democrat, like, these are great guys, these guys are amazing, Jake Tapper should, win a Pulitzer, I don't know. And I would just, it wasn't what I was expecting, is what I would say. So, and then that person just sort of made this happen.
Yeah.
So I want to just sort of get into the Hunter Biden story. I will say to the audience right now, I have already made the pledge right when I got.
Or maybe she's a grifter. Yeah, no shit. I know that. I'm saying, what is the grift there, though? Like, what? Dude, there are certain things that you do, even as a grifter, where it just, like, doesn't make any sense. This is one of them, right? Like, who is benefiting from Harvey Weinstein's rehabilitation? What ideological goal does that serve? What is the grift there, is my question.
On the phone with you, that, like, obviously I'm not going to make you say anything bad about your father, because that would just be completely demonic to be like, say something terrible about your father. Everyone knows my opinions, my political perspectives. They're already out there. He is your dad. So that is separate from my viewpoints.
Because there's no way I possibly could.
Yeah, of course. I totally get that. But there's a lot to be said about you, and a lot that I guess hasn't been said about your journey. And I guess I want to start with just one question for the culture. The cocaine that was found at the White House, was it yours?
No, not only was it not mine. No, number one is thank you for having me here. And one of the reasons is to be able to answer these questions. The one thing I am...
God, he has the same look as... Who's his dad? Blah, blah, blah. Look alive, Jack. Oh my God, I just realized I haven't done a Joe Biden voice in so long. There was a moment where he, like, opens his eyes wide.
Sure. One of the reasons...
This is literally, he looks so similar to Joe. I mean, obviously because he's his son, but like that's a Joe look.
Is to be able to answer these questions. The one thing I am, after 6 years of this, I've been sober since June 1st of 2019, clean and sober, verifiably so, by the way, and verifiably so by the Bureau of Probation, in which I was drug tested randomly for over the course of 2 years while I went through my trials and things like that. But beyond that is that, directly to your question, I wasn't even there. Not only there, but people have to understand is where that cocaine was found was, the visitor's entrance underneath that is where visitors come in and they come over from the old executive office building staff to go to the Oval or go to the chief of staff's office or to the offices in the West Wing. And it was found in a cubby in right outside of the Situation Room. And it's like no possibility, not even remotely, beyond the fact that I wasn't even there. I mean, I spent probably, over the course of 4 years, maybe 25 days at the White House, like 25 nights, 30, if I'm being fair. And so it's just it was an easy, I'm an easy target, and understandably so.
Right.
I mean, I've been, I think, probably the most famous addict and famous person, through the grace of God, in recovery for 7 years, or close to 7 years, June 1st. So.
Okay, this stuff is boring. I don't care. Why doesn't she bracket off her interviews with like different time codes? Like, I don't care about his like recovery and shit. Give me the good stuff.
Yeah, I definitely thought top
I think that, but I say it because I think that, but I was a crack addict. Like, I was a degenerate crack addict. I mean, I've heard you call me a crackhead many times, and the truth of the matter is, I was a crackhead.
Yeah.
And I say that not to shock people, because it's really shocking. Crack cocaine carries such a stigma to it to begin with. But I say it because I think that there are so many people. I know there are so many people. I think that there's, at any given time, 30 million Americans that are either in active addiction or in recovery. There's not a single person that I know that hasn't been impacted by addiction at some level, in some form, personally, or with someone that is 1 degree of separation from them that they love. No one that I know.
Least of all me.
Yeah, and part of that, one of the reasons I'm here, the stories that you tell about that, in terms of
My family.
your family, and there is where the common ground is for me. I can 100% say this, is that a friend of mine gave me this quote about 2 years ago, and it's become my mantra. It's Mother Teresa. It was attributed to Mother Teresa. Is, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. That's my everything now. And part of that is not just the family that you have by blood and birth, but also the community that you're inextricably tied to. And that community for me is the recovery community, and it's people that are still sick and suffering from addiction. And so the biggest reason that I wanted to come talk to you, beyond the fact, and this is not me blowing smoke, I think that regardless of whether I agree with you, that you're probably the most effective communicator I've ever heard.
Thank you.
Behind a microphone. And it's really driven me crazy at times. It really made me mad. Yeah. But is it, I wanted to talk to you about those things and anything else you want to talk about.
Yeah. I'm most interested in the addiction story. And I was saying to you before we started rolling, that this was sort of something that I noticed when I would cover various topics, whether it was pornography, drugs on my show, drinking, how many men would write and say they were suffering with various things, and yet they don't often speak about like how they're quietly suffering, whether it's with addiction to pornography, addiction to drugs. And I don't think there are enough conversations about it. And so when I watched that interview of you just laying it out there, something that most people try to hide or they're shameful of, I was like, there actually just needs to be more dialogue about it. I grew up with tons of addicts in my family. I have people in my family who are still addicted. And I think there is a natural anger that people have when they, for some reason, believe, and I think this was part of the anger that that I had it toward you before I heard you speak about your addiction, is that you sort of think when somebody has money and political connections, that somehow removes them from going through these sorts of barriers in life. So when I grew up, it's like, okay, like you have uncles, whatever, that are addicted to crack. You have cousins that are doing crack, whatever it is.
She's got an addiction too. The clout. Hasan, after he saw his meat pic, you think she's seen the meat pic? You think the meat pic is clouding her opinion of Hunter? You think that's in the back of her mind? Potentially. Could be.
Or experimenting with meth and drugs and those things. And then you see someone that has a life of privilege, and for some reason in your mind, you wrongly go, okay, that can't happen. And it did happen. And I'd like to hear like how you got addicted. Like what was actually the story, your path toward addiction?
Yeah. So thank you for letting me talk about that, or asking me about it. And I really mean it. It's one of the things that traps people. I can only speak about myself, but people that are in that are addicts or that are in recovery, also you find out really fast is that you're not as terminally unique as you think you are. Is that and one of the things that that is really important about addicts talking to each other and talking about it is that realization.
Shit you probably care about, laptop controversy. I don't really care about that. Israel, corruption in the Trump family, 11104, Kamala Harris and the Democrat Party. You know what's crazy? There is like real beef between the Kamala Harris camp and the Biden camp, and neither actually has like that big of a constituency any longer in the in at least like the internal party apparatus. And I think they're both awful. I think they're both fucking dog shit. So like, I kind of get mad about Hunter Biden like getting this level of clout and like walking around and talking about how his dad is awesome and all this shit. It's like, your dad's a fucking butcher, dude. Obviously, I'm not one to say sins of the father, but if you're going to fucking go out and like defend your dad or even entertain this conversation on Israel, like, you know, you're kind of trying to redeem your father, and then you are culpable. Yeah, I saw this White House aide on how Biden treated Harris. Joe Biden fucked her, says a third Biden White House aide. He fucked her. And according to her book, he called her the morning of the debate to be like, I heard your donors are talking shit about me. And he was the fucking worst. He's a prick. As far as like, yes, no, Joe Biden, who is a sexual dynamo. Okay, we know this already. His wife wrote about it. Dr. Jill Biden wrote about how Joe Biden was piping. Okay, and still is piping for all we know. But not Kamala Harris. He did not, he fucked her over. Okay, he fucked Kamala Harris over. However, like, she had ample opportunity to turn around and be like, this guy's an old racist piece of shit who's doing a genocide. Once again, it shows that Kamala Harris was not ready for the fucking spotlight. I just do not forgive Joe Biden, nor do I forgive Kamala Harris for both their culpability in advancing Israel's genocide of the Palestinians and their unlimited support to Israel, and their support that extended, and their incompetence as well. So much so that they lost this country to motherfucking Donald Trump. Every single thing that we experience on a daily basis that Trump is responsible for, they have some responsibility over as well. This is my number one argument against all the fucking dick riders, the K-hivers and the establishment Democrat defenders, is that they think I'm responsible, right? I didn't sufficiently promote Kamala Harris. Okay, that's the reason why Kamala Harris lost. If only, all the forces, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, all those people are irrelevant in comparison to little old me, right? They need to find anybody but Kamala Harris and Joe Biden to hold responsible for their incompetence, their lack of interest in correcting the record, their lack of interest in stopping a fucking genocide. I hold them responsible for this Trump administration 100%. And they are responsible for this Trump administration. It was their inability to put together a decent fucking case in the eyes of millions of Americans that led to the second Trump administration. And guess what? Most Democrats understand that now. I know some of them are dumb enough to still go, oh, maybe Kamala Harris should run because name recognition is more important than anything else, I guess. In all these fucking stupid ass polls that show Kamala Harris as a top contender for who should run in 2028. Okay. However, many Democrats understand that it was the incompetence of the Biden White House and Kamala Harris that allowed, and their investment into leaning in to this moderate policy platform to win over somehow these goddamn cultists. That was an abject fucking failure. How does Team Biden respond to their critics on Gaza? Says Jonathan Geyer. A mistake that our administration made was not prioritizing enough reducing civilian harm and ultimately trying to end the war, in particular the war in Gaza. John Feiner, who served as Biden's deputy national security advisor, told the Council on Foreign Relations last week. Adam Johnson says Biden White House war criminals continue to auction off the nonsensical line that they were bumbling bystanders who didn't do enough to reduce civilian harm. Rather, an active party to the genocide, providing weapons, covering up evidence of war crimes at the state, and refusing to condition support. That's exactly what they did. They weren't just innocent bystanders. They were not just innocent bystanders. They played an active role in aiding and abetting in this genocide. They were also the butchers. Not only were they holding the knife at times, but they were also supplying additional cutting equipment to slaughter Palestinians en masse. If there was any justice in this world, they'd be in fucking prison, okay? But alas, there is no justice in this world. Let's be real. We have to be the justice ourselves. We have to commit to holding people accountable. We have to keep applying pressure so that one day may justice be served.
Because one of the things that traps you in your addiction is shame.
Mm.
And, you know, you like me are Catholic, and we have learned that guilt is an appropriate emotion. Guilt is an appropriate response to something when
Vigilante
you've done something
justice?
wrong.
No,
And
man.
you're supposed
What
to
the fuck is this? How many times do I gotta say, oh my God, there is no such thing as vigilante justice, brother or sister or the emperor. It doesn't work that way, okay? First of all, revenge is not justice. That's number one. Number two, what I'm talking about is accountability, systematic accountability, a mechanism of enforcement that has to come from organizations. There's no adventurism here. It doesn't work that way. It never works that way. It's never worked that way. Marxist theorists have talked about this tirelessly, endlessly. It doesn't work.
for it. And you're supposed to seek forgiveness, whether the forgiveness comes from an individual or not. That's the lesson, is that it is in only through seeking that forgiveness can you release yourself from that guilt. That's appropriate. Shame is not. Shame is just absolutely corrosive. Shame is you telling yourself that you're not worthy, that you're never going to be worthy, that the things that you've done, you can never be redeemed from. And I've done horrible things in my addiction in terms of what I did, in terms of my relationships and decisions that I made. And more than anything is just removing myself from being present for the people that love me. And what happened to me, and I really mean this, is that the exposure, not piecemeal, but the total exposure, my entire digital footprint stolen from me, a 20-year digital footprint.
He fucked his dead brother's widow. Okay, but that was Christian-like. That was the most Christian-like Hunter Biden has ever been. That's literally in the Bible. That's in the Bible.